Just give me a thumbs up when you're ready. Happy today. I am William Brown from IamWilliamBrown.com. This is Disconnect to Connect, One Word Conversations. One Word Conversations is a self-discovery, relationship-building conversation designed to invite us to look at our language, how we can see that we can be using the same words, but having a totally different conversation, which leads to disconnection, sometimes connection, but sometimes disconnection. So the more that we're willing to have our one-word conversation, the more that we can learn more about ourselves, the person that we're speaking to, and build our relationship. One Word Conversation is brought to you by IamWilliamBrown.com, a place to help you be yourself and live your life. One way that I spotlight what's available at IamWilliamBrown.com, the store, is our U cards. Our U cards are intention setting cards. They are a game and they are journal prompts. So go to I Am William Brown, the store, and get your deck today. There's a number of other things that I'm going to bring out later in this episode, or probably on my site later today. So good morning, happy today, all those things. This is the moment where I invite you to like, share, ask questions, do all those things to let me know that you find value within this conversation. And yeah, I appreciate that. So let's start. I will introduce the word for today. And the word for the day is game. Now, I am going to look at my guest. I know he's in the green room. I just wanted to make sure that he is ready to go. I see the nod that he is ready to go. So that means that he can hear me asking if he's ready to go. So with that in mind, I am going to bring up my guest so we can have a conversation. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I am doing great. This is the moment where I invite my guests to introduce themselves however it feels comfortable to them.
I'm Eric Jones Jr., the underdog with the heroic heart. I'm a communicator, a father, mentor, teacher, coach. I'm just somebody that wants to impact the world, to have a different mindset of wanting to do better in your life and accomplish your purpose rather than just live through life regularly.
Wow, wonderful. Well, welcome to this conversation. So, with that in mind, how does the word game land for you?
So when you gave me this word, I was like, what can I do with this? And I listened to a podcast. It's called $1 Million Worth of Game, and they broke the word down as guidance, attention, motivation, and education. So that's how I kind of look at game, the word game. you break it down. You can't, like, if I got a 6-year-old son, I'm giving him game. I'm giving him guidance, giving him some attention, some motivation, and then education. Maybe before I give him a whooping, I'm giving him game in that kind of,
Right. Wow. I haven't heard that podcast or that acronym before. For me, game is just, it's just the way it's supposed to be, right? It's just, that's the game. That's the game we're playing. And so am I going to be in it or not? And there's many times that, I don't know if it's my childhood or not, that I just like, I don't got time for games. I don't want to play this game. Right. But at the same time, I feel like I'm missing out on the game. So it's like the desire to not play games, not to be in this game, but feel that I'm missing this game. So it's interesting with the acronym that you shared, how that's showing up for me.
Yeah. So life is a game, and when you really think about it, it's more chess than it is checkers when it comes to the game setting. So I understand what you're saying. You got to be in the game, but the game ain't always set up for you to succeed. So you got to get somebody that's been further along in whatever the profession is. We could use sports per se. Like if I'm a rookie, I want to go get some game from like LeBron, Steph Curry, so that it can help me along the way. So I'm not just going through the basket. You know how some people just get in the league, they play, they don't understand nothing, they don't have no structure, anything of that sort. But I get with one of the greats. They give
Right.
me the game, and now I actually know how to play the game for the longevity, because it's not the short game, it's the long game that we're working for.
Right. It's kind of interesting. One, you bring up basketball and and superstars and all that other kind of stuff. The one fascination, because you said the underdog, and that was in one of the labels that you introduced yourself with. But I was always fascinated when I would look on the bench of an NBA game and see people on there that I've never seen on the floor, that they were good enough to be on the team, right? Good enough to be on the team, but not in a sense. I don't want to say good enough to be in the game, but they're in the game, but they're not in the game. And if that team wins the championship, they get a ring like everybody else, but they're not. And I was trying to, and the reason why I bring that up is I realize that there are many moments in my life where I'm not on the court, right? I'm in the stands, kind of giving commentary about what the hell's happening, right? And not happening. And if I'm not willing to be on the court, or if I don't get on the court, um, in that analogy, really, I can't make a difference in the game. So, have you thought about how what our role is in the game, not just being on the team or just being in the stands, or just kind of playing and just kind of going from there?
Yeah, so being a basketball coach, you understand that everyone on the team matters, no matter if they play 1 minute, if they play all the minutes. So you could be on the bench, but your opportunity might not come until someone fouls out or gets in foul trouble or someone gets hurt. So you always got to be ready for the game, no matter
Right,
if you're not. Say you haven't played the whole season. In the last game of the season, the person that's been in front of you gets hurt and they can't come back. You got to be ready for that opportunity. So it's
right,
like you have to study the game while you're not in the game. So you could
right,
be on the bench, but you got to see what's going on, because you could be like, "Hey, oh, dude ain't he ain't guarding you when you go to on the back pick. So if you go to back pick, you're gonna be open and you're analyzing the game. So someone that might make it to the league and they might not get a lot of playing time, but then you hear their name and they're a GM or they're a coach or something of that. So because they've
right,
been studying the game, so it's different. Like you're always in the game, but
right,
it's about how you're gonna operate in the game. You have to study the game, then you have to play the game, but you have to practice in there too.
right. Wow. I just, uh, ex- I really don't. I really appreciate you saying that, because that is so true. There are so many people that have been a part of the league, if it's football, basketball, or whatever, that you may not see them, on the field or on the court, but then you hear about them being coaches. You hear about them doing other things, and their longevity is not as a player, but somewhere else in the league. So being ready. I'm trying to, I'm, I'm, I'm having that moment of being ready to go in, right? Being ready um, to play the game or be a part of the game, um, while you know that that you're not going to get the playing time. You're not going to be, and I'm looking at what's coming up for me is my business. I've started a coaching business, and it's not going as quickly as I would want it to go, and all that other kind of stuff, but I'm still learning the game, right? I'm still kind of watching other coaches and other people in business, and kind of doing that. And sometimes it's like, put me in, coach. All I need is someone, but that's a totally different way of looking at it. If I, instead of not um I guess, getting too excited about getting in the game, but learning and studying the game, that's a totally different way when my opportunity comes up to be in the game.
Yep, yep. It's like anything. It's like so I'm a speaker and I just kind of started within the last 4 or 5 years. I've done some stuff. I kind of stopped. But now I still been in the game, but now I'm taking a trainer course. So I'm studying the game. So when
Right.
my opportunity comes, I'm not going to the G League. I'm going to
Right.
the league. I'm going to get
Right.
to play with the big boys. And that's going to give me that opportunity rather than, oh, I can go up there and tell my story, but I have to learn how to structure, my talks, how to create programs, different things of that. So now when I get in the game, I can be one of the best in the game rather than being like, oh, he had a good season. I remember him. He was good, but we never heard of him again. No, you
Right.
want to. So when you think of the long game, no matter whatever it is that you're
Mm,
doing, you always have to be in the game while working on the game or practicing, whatever it
right.
is. Because, like, I might practice on my son, but not even really practicing, but I'm practicing and I'm
Right.
in the
Got it.
game. So when the camera come on, I'm ready. I ain't even got to
Right.
worry about what's going on. It's kind of like Steph Curry. He shoots 105 shots. That's why that boy can shoot like that in a row. Like, he's
Right.
practicing. So when you practice, you research, and you get all the information, but then you get game from somebody already in whatever field you're in to help you so you don't have to, go through some of the mistakes they went through or some of the mistakes that you might have went through. Then you're able to, when the lights come on, it's game time.
Right. Well, it's really interesting. The one thing that came up that when you were speaking on the long game, and so I wouldn't even say that I play golf. I've been on a number of courses and like tore up stuff, right? Right, and hit balls around. So I wouldn't call myself a player, but there's a thing about your short game and your long game, right? And it is sometimes I could like get a um good shot from the tee, but when I get on the green, my short game was horrible, right? Because it's like things, it was, it just wouldn't happen. So it's just like, I get so excited because my long game is fine. I'm like putting, I'm just whacking it, and then the short game would take me out of, that hole right there, and so I'm thinking, just that analogy too of you have to work on both. What is your short game and your long game? Because if they're not in if you're not in complementary to each other, they can let you down. And so too often people will think of overnight success. They see somebody on TV all of a sudden or on YouTube and think like, "Whoa, they came from nowhere." No, they've been somewhere for a while. They've been um, there has been a part of this game that they have been a part of before you've seen them. And really how we can, it's like, I'll speak for myself. I forget that, when I see it's like, geez, where did this person come from? Right. It's just like, but it's like recognizing that there is a lot of things that happen before that. There's a game before the game, that a lot of people miss.
Yep, it's like small wins. The short
Mm,
game is small wins. Like, you want to look for, oh, I want to look for that big check, and it's like get you gotta get on the team first. You gotta get minutes.
right.
Or for me, like speaking, I've spoke at a lot of the big schools here in Indianapolis. I spoke, to different organizations. So I got small wins. I was on the new. I got caught on the news for speaking. Those are small wins, but nobody knows me. But those are small wins for me to build my momentum. And once your momentum's built, it's like you can keep on going. So it's definitely like golf, because my dad plays golf, and I'm like, oh, okay, I'm gonna go out here, and this ain't that hard. You just swinging the ball. No,
Right.
it's a different ball game.
Right.
You gotta have technique. You gotta know what putt to use, all different kinds of stuff. And that's just like with anything you gotta do. You gotta know what different kind of angle when you're doing a video of yourself, or you got to know what kind of lighting to have, or what all different kinds of stuff, whatever it is that you're doing. You could be
Right.
in school, and you might need a different kind of book for that particular semester. So you weren't paying attention, you didn't remember that. Now you fail in that semester because you didn't get that one material because you weren't preparing yourself for the game. Everything in life, like we said, like I said earlier, is a game, but it's chess, not checkers.
Right.
Checkers is easy.
Right. Oh, I remember there's a time, when I was younger that I was killing it in checkers, right? you know, You're right. Until I was like, okay, this ain't fun anymore. So I started playing chess, and it was like, uh-oh, I can't just be doing, the reckless stuff, just going down, just going down the other side of the board. Think I'm just gonna make things happen. I got to have a strategy to kind of figure that out to get down there. So yeah, I'm starting to understand or appreciate something that, uh, to be quite honest, was just getting on my nerves, right? That my son, I have an adult son, and when he was younger, he was, playing, the video games, right? So and I was always kind of managing his time on there. And then, later, I would catch him not playing the game, but watching someone play the game. And it was just like, I'd rather you play the game than sit and watch somebody play the game. That just didn't make sense. But in some cases, from this conversation, I'm starting to understand what he was doing and what people are doing when they're watching someone kind of play. It's like the game before the game. And it's just like I said, old school. Just get on the court. Just go. Just do it. And now really recognize that there's strategy, and there's opportunities so that you can have a longevity in it, so that it is, in some cases, still fun, right? And just kind of to go from there.
Yeah, that's giving a example. I got a 6-year-old son, so he's always on YouTube watching, whatever he's watching. But I'm like, why you don't never watch basketball? He's like, I don't know. And I'm like, if you watch the players that you want to be like, or you watch the player that's your position, you're going to be able to learn and how to do different things. I was like, when I was a kid, I used to tape. I'm telling my age. Well, I'm 30,
Right.
about to be 35. I used to tape games on the VHS and go back and watch whoever my favorite player was. Watch what he was doing. So when I went on
Wow.
the court the next time, I could emulate what he was doing. Like Iverson, he was my favorite player. I watched
Right.
him every time he did a
Fans,
new move.
fans.
I'm learning the move. And I wish we would have had phones back in our day where we could have had the phone while we was on the court and being able to practice the move. But you gotta watch and study. Like you just can't go in whatever arena you're gonna go in and think, oh, well, I got some talent. I'm gonna go out here and win. That's kind of like the Brooklyn Nets. They got all the big names on the team. They went in and played the Cleveland Cavs and lost two games in a row to the Cleveland Cavs because they probably thought, oh, we got the big three, we got three of the top scorers in the league. We gonna beat them. They don't got nobody. But you can't go in there like that. You got to go in there
Hmm.
prepared for whatever game. So it's
Right.
like you said, the game before the game. Because if you don't prepare for anything that you do, okay, you might win here and there, but
Right.
the long game, you're gonna be in and out. You're gonna be like a one and done person that does music. Oh, they got the hot hit for about maybe a month, and then all of a
Right.
sudden, where they at? Or their next song was, oh, that's you. Oh no, we're not gonna listen to that. It's all about how you want to take it. If you want to win, because you could just go out there and know the normal moves, and maybe you can score. You might get some playing time, but if you want to be one of the greats, you have to study. You got to go and watch film. You got to go and train. You got to go and work out maybe 3-4 times a day rather than just one time a day. So it's all about what you want to do with your life and how much you want to put in your game. Because anybody can be average. That ain't hard.
Right.
But if you want to be great, it's all about putting the energy in to the game that you're playing.
Hmm. Yeah, there's a couple of things that you said there that I don't know if I'm having difficulties with, or I'm trying to just kind of, embrace that how you show up to the game, your mentality for the game will kind of dictate how that game goes, right? And I think there was a large part of my younger life that I was successful without really understanding because things came easy to me, right? There was like, as they say, you have the natural ability to kind of just do stuff. And so I felt for myself, I didn't respect that. I didn't appreciate that because it was just like, oh, okay, I got natural ability. I'm just going to show up, right? I'm not going to go to the gym. I'm not going to do anything else because I have natural ability until the people that were working out and the people that were doing things, they started passing my natural ability. And then I was like, whoa, now I needed to put a little help to it. And so I think how we at first I didn't want to, as I said before, I I don't want to play games. I wanted things. There's this inclination in me to feel like this is serious. This is my life. It's not a game, right? But because within that way of thinking, everything became like increasingly difficult for me, like a struggle. And it was like there was always this pressure because there wasn't a game to it. And so I'm trying to balance. So this is what I call a download, is that something comes to my mind and it's coming out my mouth before I understand what the heck I'm saying. So good luck with understanding this. So I'm trying to balance the importance and the seriousness of what I'm doing or what I'm about, and having a mentality that it's a game, so I don't take it too seriously. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah. Something you said about respect. You got to respect the game like you respect yourself. And
Hmm.
once you respect the game, you'll understand that it's more than just going out there and playing or whatever it is. Because when you respect yourself, you treat yourself a little different than someone that don't respect themselves. So um it's where it's not always per se a game where it's fun, because the game's not always fun. Practice working out 2 a days, researching, writing speeches or whatever you're doing isn't
Right,
always fun, but you
right,
understand it's part of what you want to do. So I
right,
think if you love what you do and that's your game per se, whatever whatever it is, then
right,
you'll do what's necessary to succeed and be great at whatever it is that you do. Because it's kind of like when you're dating, you don't really you like the person, but you don't love the person. So you're not gonna maybe give your all, but then when you get in a relationship or you get married, you love that person and you're giving your all and you're trying
right,
to figure out how can we make this work. Okay, we had a loss last week. How can so everything um is wins and losses. No
hmm,
matter, that's the game of life. It's a win. You either win or you not lose, but it's a lesson. So it's wins and lessons. So you
hmm,
have to learn from what it is that you did wrong to make your game better. And that's where you have to self-assess sometimes and say, okay, I've been doing this so long, this isn't fun. What made it fun before? I know I've
right,
been doing all this hard work, but that's not fun. Maybe I need to do something else. So it's all about you and how you treat whatever it is you quote unquote call game, and you have
right.
to love and respect it. Because when you love and respect something, you treat it a little different than it's just any old person or any old thing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, love and respect. That was something that just jumped out for me. Is that there is um, those are big words, right? I mean, and sometimes people reduce that to love is means enjoyable, right? That's it. You know, it's like, I love you, so I'm enjoying you. And when I no longer enjoy you, I don't love you, right? You know, and love is so much more than that. And respect is the same thing. It feels like the same thing. What does understanding what respect means? Respect the game, respect yourself. There is, a large part of my coaching is self-awareness. It's just being aware of who you are and how you're showing up without a judgment. I mean, too often, I'll say for myself is that I become aware of something and then I make it mean something. I then kind of like, oh, geez, I didn't finish that report or I didn't do this, and I'm just such a horrible person. No, I just didn't do it. And so realizing that there were things, in that game of completing that task that I didn't do. There were tasks, there were things that I allowed to distract me from that. And so I just really appreciate you bringing that a part of the game, because too often there's a gamification that's happening in our society that people, use gamifying with learning, um, in some training, and kind of keeps people, engaged, in it. Because if it's just, like I was talking before, if it's just like, okay, we're going to school and it's just, you just need to learn this, you either get it or you don't. But when it's a game, there's a lot of other things that are happening. There's a lot of other emotions that are involved. There have been times that, I don't play a lot of games now. I guess typical games, but I'm in my life, so that's a game. So that's the big game that I'm in. But I am missing all the other things that happen that I can learn when I'm playing a game. The disappointment of, game over, right? It's like, you know, that type of thing. All right, let's go at this again. Um, you know, I um I can remember, I don't want to be picking on my son again. But I can remember, when he was a lot younger, we would, have family games, and there was almost every week there was a moment in the game where he was pissed off. Right? He was just like, I don't want to play anymore. You have to call him, come back, dear, all that other kind of stuff. And I was like, dude, you got to stay in this, dude. Yes, you are losing. You are losing at Monopoly right now, but it's not the end of the world. Just what can you learn from this? And it's not like hide money underneath the board and do all that, cheat and all, all that other kind of stuff that um that your sister just caught you doing, right? So it's that type of thing, how we can stay in the game, not despise the game, love and respect the game. You're just really opening up a lot of things for me today to really appreciate, um, um, I guess, our involvement on every level, in the game.
Yeah, and like you said about awareness, you have to be aware of your surroundings, just in general. Give a perfect example of not being aware of surroundings in the game of life. So 2 weeks ago, go to the gas station. It's late at night. I don't live in the best of hood areas. I live kind of in the hood area, and I go in, go to grab something, and I left my car unlocked. My car got stolen because I
Hmm.
wasn't being aware, like, okay, it's a little later than you normally come over here. Just take your keys out. You running in. I'm just like, oh, it's any old time. Now my car is gone. So I wasn't
Hmm.
aware of the game of life there. So I took a loss. So I had to learn a lesson. And the lesson was lock your doors when you go in a gas station, no matter where you're at, just because,
Right.
even though that sounds stupid, but you have to do that. And then
Right.
another example, I had a player, this kid, big. He was our center. He's bigger than everybody, but he was younger and he never really played. So when he got in the game, he wasn't aware. They passed him the ball. He couldn't catch it because he wasn't aware what's going on, because he didn't study the game enough to know, okay, I need to have my hands up when I'm down here. I need to have my back, towards the basket or stuff of that sort. So when you're not aware of things, it's because you're not learning, you're not studying, you're not educating yourself on what it is
Right.
that you're doing. Just like your son and my son, when we whatever game we playing, they lose, is because it's kind of like this is your first, second, maybe third time playing.
Right.
You just want to play, but instead of being aware of how to actually play and learn the game, you just
Right.
want to get out there and play. And now you lost. Now you mad. You angry. You want to throw. No, don't be mad at anybody but yourself because you didn't want to take the time to learn the game so you could be aware. Oh, they threw down a draw four. I got a draw four in my hand. I can throw that down too, or whatever the case may be. And
Right.
if you're not aware, then that means you're not paying. That's just like school.
Right.
You're not aware. You just in class. Ooh, teacher said you had homework. You come into class. Mr. Jones, you got your homework. What homework? Oh, it's like if you're not aware, then that means you're not preparing yourself for whatever it is that you're doing.
Right. Yeah. I think the conditions of the game changes daily, and moment by moment, actually, because there is probably, as you were talking about with your car in the gas station, there are many times that you've done that and it was a win, right? You go in, do what you want, you come out, car's still there, so it's like, hey, that's what I can do in the game, but not at night, right? Not on this day, right? And all that other kind of stuff. And those moments of really being aware of, do I need to make an adjustments? And that's the one thing that that I look for, when I'm watching professional games or maybe college games that I watch, that you see in the first half and the second half, right? Nobody can win the game in the first half, but you can lose the game in the first half. And sometimes you can see the adjustments are not adjustments that are made in the second half, because of like, okay, I've been getting our butts kicked, for this, and this is what's happening. Are we going to just stay with this, or are we going to make some adjustments? And sometimes when we don't make those adjustments, our car is gone, right? I mean, and it's like, it is that type of thing. And some people, you can say it's a bad coach or bad players or something that don't make those adjustments, right? Don't make those adjustments because they feel like this worked before and this is going to work now. But the game is changing. It's the same and it's different. And are you willing to make those adjustments? And like I said, understanding the difference of that and awareness. And I think it's like I said, there's a lot of things that are coming up for me. It's like many times when I don't, when there are difficulties in my business and in my life, is my refusal to make adjustments to the game, right?
Yeah.
Right. And so
adjustments. Like if you don't make adjustments in life, then you're just gonna be in that same spot. But to what you just said about moments. So when I noticed, so this is how the story went with the car. I'm looking outside. I'm aware when I'm in there. So I see the guy get in my car. So I darted out, and instead of him, he went I don't know what he did a circle. So I got able to open my passenger door, but I was aware. Like I looked at him. I seen he wasn't really paying attention, but I seen two other people coming, and I'm like, okay. And then I'm like, my son's at home. So like in that moment, I had to be aware, like, all right, just let the car go. Because if something happened to me, my son's at home, he wake up, he don't got he's 6. He ain't gonna know what to do. Nobody's gonna know what happened or anything. So like every moment you have to be aware in the game, because like you said, that I had to write that down, what you said about you can't win in the first half, but you can lose in the first half. Because if you go out in the first half and you don't do nothing, and then you try to give everything you got in the second, you're going to run out of energy, and you might have came back and lost by 1, but you still lost because you didn't give that full energy the whole game. So I
Right.
love that what you said with that, because that makes so much sense. Because you can, like in life, the first when you become an adult, you can lose for maybe the first 10 years of your life. You be losing, you're struggling, but then you have a moment where you learn how to make a turn, and then you start winning, and then
Mm,
like you can continue to win the second half of your life. But that first half is where you learn those lessons and make adjustments. So
right.
whatever like you're doing, you just make a small adjustment, because life is lessons and adjustments. You learn the
Right.
lesson, you make the adjustment. If you don't make the
Mm.
adjustment, you gonna keep that lesson gonna keep coming around, and you're gonna be like, man, why do I keep going through the same? You ain't made the adjustment. So you
Right.
got to make the adjustment in the game. Just like, for instance, basketball. Say it's a player on the bench. He ain't played all year, but he a defensive specialist. And we're playing whatever, a good team. And we like, man, our number one scorer getting killed. All right, buddy, you go in the game. And and it changes the game by one adjustment. So you have to understand, if you want to go to the next level, whatever it is, you got to make the adjustments, because you do the same thing, you get the same results.
Right. Wow. Yeah. I think really looking at the game, it's like be in the game, make it a game. There's a lot of things that game is going to show up for my life, but it's kind of interesting. It is really um um it's really how I approach this conversation. That was like, a part of me was like, you know what, we're probably just going to be talking about gaming and, maybe, sports and all that other kind of stuff. And it's like, no, there's like life in here. There is really opportunities for us to really show up in our life. So I really appreciate that. I mean, I think we could talk about this for hours, but um, I think the game is calling us, right?
Yeah, it's the last 2 minutes of the game, so it's wrapping.
Right. Is there anything there you've mentioned a number of great insights and everything. Is there anything that's come up within this conversation that you want to leave everyone with?
Um, Figure out what game is for you,
Hmm.
and that means whatever your purpose is. Once you figure that out, study that game, research, do the things necessary, practice the game, and then play the game. Because if you do those steps before you play the game, when it's time to play, you can just do whatever it is that you need to do. And you take that same energy is whatever it is that you do. Quick example: when my son was being born, I was holding his mom hand. I was like, "Hey, it's the fourth quarter. You got to push. Like it's game, you know." And her mom was like, "What are you talking about over there?" I'm like, "It's." I'm like, "Don't worry about it." I'm like, "It's it's basketball. It's game time." And that's how you have to look at your life. Whatever it is you do, it's a game, but it's not like a playing game. And you just want to remember to stay in the game. Like you get
Right.
punched in the mouth, stay in the game. Just stay
Right.
in the game once you start playing, and you'll figure it out.
Right. Wonderful. Well, thank you very much, Eric. I'd love to say our goodbyes in the green room if you're able to stay, but this has been great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Wow. Stay in the game, even when you get punched in the mouth. Yeah. What came to mind for me is my story of the birth of my first child. There was a game on the TV in the room to, I don't know if it was distract me or to distract my wife. And every once in a while, my wife would remind me that there was another game in the room that I needed to pay attention to. Right. So, but yeah. Yeah, I hope this conversation has add value to you, not just to your day, but to your life. I invite you to reach out to me at iamwilliambrown.com. The store, there's a number of tools and opportunities to help you to be yourself and live your life. Um, because the world wants you, the world needs you, but the world isn't waiting for you. So go be you. Have a great rest of the day, and I'll see you next time on One Word Conversation.